And the United Nations says one of its foreign staff was killed and another injured when their vehicle was fired upon in Gaza. The UN Secretary-General says the staff were travelling to a hospital in Rafah when their car was struck. He did not say who by. Middle East correspondent Eric Torchek reports.
UN sources have told us that one man from India was killed and his colleague from Jordan was injured when their marked vehicle was fired upon in the southern border city of Rafah. The UN Secretary-General says the pair worked for the UN Department of Safety and Security and they were on their way to the European hospital in Rafah. He's called for an investigation and also for humanitarian workers to be protected and for a ceasefire and the release of hostages inside Gaza. It's not clear who fired upon the car. But what we do know is that there are battles in Rafah between Palestinian militants and Israeli troops. The Israeli military has been pushing further into the city in recent days. It's issued renewed evacuation orders for new parts of Rafah, and more than 360,000 Palestinians in the city have now evacuated. They've moved to the west to what's called the humanitarian zone, and some have moved north into the neighbouring cities. But there's big concerns for what's going to happen to them. Those areas don't have proper infrastructure, no running water, electricity or sewage, and there's been a problem getting increased aid to those areas because of the closure of the Rafah crossing between the Gaza Strip and Egypt. That crossing was seized by the Israeli military last week. And there's been nothing coming through it since then. The big thing that used to go through the Rafah crossing was fuel. The UN agencies and humanitarian groups operating inside Rafah can't do any deliveries without fuel. Hospitals are relying on fuel for their generators and some are already reportedly running out. There were attempts to get aid in through the Kerem Shalom crossing, which is to the east of Rafah, but there are apparently problems coordinating the movement of trucks through what's now an active combat zone, and the Israeli military has also said that Hamas continues to fire rockets towards the Kerem Shalom crossing, and that's causing problems as well. What we do know, the net effect of this is that very, very little aid is reaching the most people inside the Gaza Strip because they are in the south and they rely on the agencies in the south to deliver that aid to them, and that includes essentials like food and water. So the fear is that the closure of these crossings, the increase in fighting in Rafah is making an already bad humanitarian situation much, much worse.
Eric Torchek there.